Man, I tell you what, I am one blessed man. I get to drive that on a daily basis. I live in one of the most beautiful states in the country. Just beautiful weather. 70 some degrees today. I couldn't ask for any better. At least that's what I tell myself in this kind of weather. And wait till it's 20 degrees and the snow is blowing and I'm trying to hang a 20-foot gutter 3 stories in the air. So let me tell you about this project we're working on. It is a beautiful, beautiful house. A country estate, peaceful, winding driveway, quiet, everything about it. The views are incredible. And we've been working on it for quite a while now, a couple of months. And I'm just now shooting the intro video. And that's because the first intro video that I shot was over a year ago. And it took that long for the insurance to come around and just getting everything lined up, getting material ordered and everything. It just took that long. There's 4 radius dormers on this house, and they have a standing seam copper roof on these dormers. The standing seam's a little bit different than most standing seams. Normally when we do a radius copper standing seam, we do a full panel that goes all the way over the arch. Well, these are 3 foot long, and they have a cross hatch in them that offsets 6 inches so that it creates like a checkerboard pattern on the roof. It's really, really cool. In addition to that, we're doing copper gutters and downspouts, and then we're also doing copper collector heads. Really intricate collector heads. In fact, I'm gonna do a separate video on just how I fabricate these collector heads, because I could spend a whole 20 minutes just doing that, and be looking for that one. I'm excited about it. We're nearing completion already with the job, even though we're just getting around to, like I said, shooting the intro video now. Before I get up to the job, you guys have got to check out part of the drive to this house. I think it's okay to be jealous. Check it out. So after we tear off all of the old copper, we inspect the wood, make sure there's no damage, and then we install a high temp ice and water shield. After that, it's back to the shop where we start the fabrication process. When we buy the copper, it's in sheets 36 inches wide by 120 inches long, and we have to cut it down. What we need for these panels is 15 inches wide by 36 inches long. So we get exactly 8 panels for every sheet of copper, and we need 380 some panels. So it is a process, but thank goodness for this metal shear, because it makes the process a whole lot easier. Just a hit of the foot feed on that pedal there, and it makes a perfectly straight, square cut, smooth edge finish, makes for a beautiful panel in the end. The next step is to put ribs in the panel. Like I said at the beginning of the video in the intro, these panels have a stiffening rib or a crosshatch every 12 inches. So every 36-inch panel, we have to put 3 of these ribs in. This machine here is a rotary former. It has blades inside of it that we just separate ever so slightly so it doesn't cut the copper, but it forms a ridge in the copper. We have to do this 380 times for that first bend. Then we have to reset the machine, move the blades over, and it's another 380 times, and then do that one more time. After all the ribs are in, then it is time to bend the standing seam. So in the break it goes, and we bend up one side an inch and the other side an inch. Again, 380 bends per side. After we're done with this process, we load up the trailer, secure everything down good and tight, and then it's back to the job site. All right, guys, we are all set up out here at the job site, and we are ready to start installing panels. We got the old roof tore off, got it all dried in, Got these panels here. We've got everything fabbed back at the shop, but this is a straight panel. If you look down at it, perfectly flat, and our roof is a radius, a big arch. So I need to modify these all to put a slight bow in them, plus the tabs here get crushed in the fabrication. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the tabs. I use a 5-in-1 painter's tool, 15-in-1 this one says, but works great for copper work. Opening stuff like that just opens up the tab, flip it over. That's the underside, or that was the overside. This is the underside. Make sure everything is open so that when we get up there on the roof, everything will lock together. These are interlocking panels. So got that. Panels ready. Now I got to put a bow in it. Interesting how we do that. I have a tool right here, and it's called a metal stretcher. Yes, it is a stretcher. I'll show you in a minute how it works. But yeah, we just push down on that. I'll show you the finished product here. Push down on that. Flip it over, do the same on the other side. On the other standing seam so that it creates a nice little bow in it. Do it on the end. Where these ribs are, it actually on the fin creates a little bump, and in addition to bowing the panel, it squishes these flat, so the panels are going to sit up tight to each other. But now if you look at the panel, it's got a bow in it. So it should go right onto the roof, and it's gonna, that's about the radius of the roof. It's not an extreme radius. The metal stretcher is interesting because that's what the tool is called, a metal stretcher. And if any of you have been around construction much, I'm sure you're familiar with the old prank where you tell the new guy to go find the wood stretcher or the 2x4 stretcher, and he goes and looks for a couple hours and comes back, says he can't find it, and everybody has a good laugh. Well, one time I hired a guy and I told him to go get the metal stretcher, and he was like, yeah, right. He says, you're not going to get me with that one. I've been around construction, even though I might not have worked with sheet metal, I've been around construction, so you're going to give metal. And I was like, no, go get the metal stretcher. So we went back and forth, finally had to go get the metal stretcher. And they're here. I'll just show you real quick how it actually works. So if you look right here, when you pull the lever up, it opens up the jaws, and when you push the lever down, it closes, and then it spreads it in the middle. Can you see that little gap in there? So yeah, that's how it works. You notice the two arrows right here. It says stretcher. They have a tool just like this. The arrows point in, and it's actually a shrinker, and it'll shrink the metal. Well, I got to put a radius on 380 of these things, so I think it's time to cue the chase music and put some fast forward on, right? So we've been installing the panels up on the roof and got a ways on them, but we've got a long ways to go yet. I'll show you real quick how they go together. The lay up next to the next panel beside it. Then we have a little clip. Hooks on the top of the panel. Open those locks back up. Use the locking pliers. Locking crimps, crimp the end cap on so it doesn't pop off. Run some flux down in there.
A ton of flux.
Never ever use silicone or sealant on copper. You must always solder it. Dang, dude, is this your first day? All right, put hangers in it. Brass hangers, stainless steel screws, so won't cause any electrolysis. Man, I was really freaking out because got working on this job and we were 120 foot short on the gutter. How in the world am I 120 foot short? So totally forgot I used some of this material off of this job, the gutter coil off of this job on that job that we did for that apartment complex, the Hagerman Mansion. So that's where it went. I was relieved that I hadn't misbid the job, but I got to go all the way to my supplier in Denver and pick up 120 foot gutter coil. So it's always something, right? All right, back at it. This morning we're going to fabricate and install the radius fascias. So these are fun to make. Check this out. Clipped. All right, I got this copper laid out on this table. I like using these big scissors because it is a lot easier to keep it straight, because there's a little bit of variation in my line just from marking it in place with the Sharpie and stuff, and with a long blade of the scissors like this, it's easy to kind of float through those things. All right, next I need to mark it for my radius bends. Take a slide scribe. It's a pretty cool tool. You can actually just slide it to however many inches you need on there. So that's 5 inches. You can slide it in. It really works good. I'm gonna set it at 3/4 of an inch. And I am going to do a 3/4 inch mark all the way around this radius. This will be the tabs that will fold over onto the standing seam. And then I want a 5 inch face, so I'm gonna go 5 3/4. Make another line. It's just putting a nice little scratch right in that copper, so you can see it very good. All right, now I need a 1/2 inch more, so I'm gonna go 6 1/4, and this will be the little tab that we make to go underneath to hook onto the cleat. because we don't want any fasteners in this, in the face of this. So we're going to put a cleat up on the fascia, and this fascia is going to hook right onto it. I love doing this. Making metal, copper, bend in ways that it shouldn't. So, all right, now I'm going to cut the bottom of the radius. All right, so come inside of the workshop trailer to put those two bends on it. Noticed I had to take my sunglasses off because I couldn't see in here. So we're going to put it in the brake just to hold it stationary, but it's not, we're not using the brake to put the bends on. So it's just going to kind of help hold it there. We're actually using this nifty device. It's called rotary brake, a lot of different names for it, but it has 3 sets of wheels on it for doing a straight bend. But if you're doing a radius bend, you can only use 1. So we're going to put it on and take it in to the depth of my mark, which I am too deep. So I'm going to set this back a tiny bit. That should be about it. Reset that. Let's bring it on here. Yep, I'm right on it. So now what we do is we just start working this thing back and forth on the piece of copper here, and it's going to put a nice flange. Keep going a little bit more each pass until we get it to 90 degrees. Notice I did the inside of the radius first. That's because it's a shorter, it's only a 1/2 inch. The top one is 3/4 of an inch. So that's that. Now we gotta turn it around. So long I can't turn it around in the trailer. I have to take it outside. Carefully flip it over, not to kink it. Bring it back in. Now these are kind of a little bit awkward because now I have a flange that's in the way that's not letting me really clamp it down. But that should do pretty good. Give a slight pressure, not to kink it. Now I have to open this up a little bit further. And this time it's easy because I'm just going to put it right on the 3/4 inch mark on the guide. Clamp that back down and we should be good to go. Yep, right on it. All right, so now we're going to finish putting the J on this hook for hooking the fascia onto the cleat with my planishing hammer. I don't know if I've showed this to you guys before, but once again, because I love it, planishing hammers are really hard to find, and good ones are really hard to find, nice heavy ones. I actually took an Estwing roofing hatchet and I ground off the waffle marks and then polished it up, and it works great. So we're just going to work this piece over all the way down, and then I'll flatten it out with a painter's tool inside. So here we go. Notice I'm holding the hatchet at an angle, so when I'm driving it in, it's taking this over to this angle without putting any marks or dents on the lip, which you could see from the face. And I like having it up against this lip right here. That's why I built this bench like this with this lip. It gives me something to push against. Whew. It gets the old shoulder going. All right, now I'm going to do another pass. This time I'm going to hold the hammer out flat, and we're just going to take that on over, being careful not to hit on here, which would make a dent on the outside of the face. Also being careful not to squish it too flat, because we're going to need this open. All right, now we're going to use a painter's tool. I'm just going to hold some pressure down on it. This is going to give me a nice flat area to seam to. And it's still open enough that it can hook onto my cleat up on the fascia. All right. Last thing to do before install is we have to notch this. We can't roll this edge like we did this edge, because we have to have it at a 90 degree so that it can hook onto our standing seam up on the roof. So we're actually going to make little tabs. They will be on the inside, and so we can actually bend them over once it's hooked on in place up there. So let me get my V-notchers. All right, I got my V-notchers, and we're going to cut some tabs. If you notice, it's a wedge-shaped die that goes inside of a cutter, and you notice how this is higher than this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the inside, so that when we cut our little notch out, the V doesn't go all the way to the break. And the reason we want that is if it went all the way to the break, when we bend it over, it would telegraph little lines onto the face when it's up in place. This way here, that will just kind of roll over along with it. All right, now the last thing to do before install is to give it a nice little buffing. Clean it up. It's going to take some 4/0 steel wool. We're just going to just take those little scratches right out. All right, we are ready for install. All right, guys, we are done. This project has been amazing. It's had its ups and its downs, but the finished product was just incredible, incredible. Check out this walk around of the gutters, and this roofing is just, I mean, everything turned out just incredible on this job. I'm just so happy to be done with it though, because we're going to move on to the next one. We got some really, really cool stuff coming up. Be on the lookout, like and subscribe, and you will get notified when I have the next one, which the next one might be, or might be a couple off, depending on how soon I can we get it done, but it's going to be cool. You don't want to miss it. It is a train car roof for Durango Silverton Railroad in Durango, Colorado. That one's just incredible. If you guys liked the very, very first clip in this video, was shot with a 360 camera. Now, I didn't put it in 360 format on this video. However, after I sign off, if you just wait for a link to come up, just click that link and it'll link you to the 360 format of that video, and it's going to be the full length. So it's really, really cool. You can turn your camera and look all over the canyon. I saw a couple of birds, and it might have been a hawk or an eagle or something like that out of the corner of my eye I saw. But yeah, it's really cool. Hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, I'll say it again, like, subscribe, share. And most importantly, eyes high, copper proper.